Good morning. It's not that I'm just finally back to commuting, but recently I had an issue with my wheel bearings. Unfortunately, riding every day just means there are instances where you will ride in the rain. So last week I rode in 2 episodes of heavy rainfall, and thereafter, probably contributed by my daily mileage as well, my rear wheel decided to give way. So as I rode, I realized my cassette was loose. And then doing the basic maintenance, I realized it's not a matter of the lock ring, but in fact it was one of the outer rear bearing in my rear hub that caused the issue. Scientist, but riding to work by commute on my bike definitely saves more time than public transport. Taking the bus and train takes approximately an hour and a half from my place in north all the way to west. But cycling one way, it's 25 km, which takes about an hour. You know, on top of the half an hour savings, the health benefits I get back, it's priceless. Comparison, not counting the public transport, riding a bike requires changes and maintenance across the year as well. But on average, I must say, on an annual affair, I change my tires and chain maybe twice. If the math adds up, the net cost of riding a bike to and fro work, commuting we call it, is definitely cheaper than taking the public transport. Of course, on a point earlier, the net gain you get from better health can't exactly be weighed in here. So really, as you age, you can't really put a price tag on health, because in the long term, I think I'm definitely aging a lot slower. Well, again, that's for you to judge, for me to know. If you ever had the chance on the public transport in Singapore, but because of the nature of the size of our country, fitting 6 to 7 million people in this small dot is just not helping. Essentially, it's a daily struggle. You know, on days that I wake up and then I realize it's raining, you know, having to take the public transport, having to squeeze with couple thousand others on, you know, small trains. Sorry, not small, but, you know, granted the amount of people you have to fit in, but it's crazy where, you know, on the other hand, if I ride to work, I almost, at most of the time, get the whole road to myself. Especially on the second half of my commute, when I ride near NTU, roads tend to be a lot quieter here. Definitely so in the mornings or weekdays. Good afternoon. Well, in YouTube time, you wouldn't have realized, but 2 days have passed. For the past 2 days, it's been raining heavily whenever I wanted to ride home. So knowing that I just serviced my wheels, obviously riding in the rain is not a wise choice. Like Singapore, in case you were wondering, predicting weather here in our little country is not a challenging task. We have NEA apps. In fact, Apple's internal weather apps are pretty accurate as well. Now, granted, our country is so small, so if you ever plan to commute, having to check the weather beforehand, usually the 2 to 3 hour forecasts are pretty accurate. So if you're using that to predict the weather ahead of time, then it's not a bad idea. You know, even as it seems like when I'm riding back home today, it's really dark and gloomy, but at least weather forecast, both west and north, it's pretty clear up to the point I reach home. So fingers crossed stays that way, because there are times where I must say the weather can still get pretty unpredictable. Random showers and whatnot, because there are simply so many pockets of water, you know, reservoir. In fact, we're all surrounded by sea. ways you can do this, of course, more commonly I think what people do is they use a foldable bike and they ride essentially from their place to the nearest train station, fold the bike, then board the train, take it to the nearest train of your destination, and then unfold your bike, ride the remaining of the way. But what I'm doing here, as you see, is potentially what I would say is the slightly tougher way. So for me, one way is 25 km from my place in Marsiling to where I work, somewhere in Jurong Pioneer area. But naturally, I think what you gain out of it is fitness. But in context, some background, I've been doing this for about 7 to 8 years. I do build a good amount of pay, mileage that goes behind being able to sustain this day in, day out. Because two-way essentially is 50 km a day. If you do the math, that's more than 300k a week. Have a go at it, see if you can make it, and then of course you come out stronger on the other side. This is a good way to end the ride. Thanks for hanging around. Thanks for watching. If you like what you're seeing, consider subscribing. If you have questions for commuting, maybe shoot me a comment to answer to the best of my knowledge.